Okay, so everyone's talking about generative AI, but the real question is, how do we actually use it without, causing more problems than we're trying to solve? That's what this is all about. A practical, no-nonsense framework for getting the most out of AI while keeping humans in the driver's seat.
This really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? When you're using these tools, are you getting a brilliant co-pilot that makes you better, or are you just taking a dangerous shortcut that might lead you right off a cliff? It's this tension that just about every professional is grappling with right now.
And look, the risks are very, very real. We're talking about AI just making stuff up, those infamous hallucinations. Or maybe even scarier, our own skills starting to get rusty because we're not using them anymore. And then there's blind automation, where we just trust the machines so much we stop thinking for ourselves, which of course creates huge ethical blind spots. So the real trick is, how do we get all the good stuff without falling into these traps?
Well, the answer seems to be in a really structured approach. It's called the Balanced Human-in-a-Loop methodology, and it's designed specifically to help us walk that tightrope between risk and incredible reward.
This one sentence just perfectly sums up the entire philosophy. Think of AI as the engine. It generates, it supports, it accelerates. But the human is the one with their hands on the steering wheel, making the final call, always.
So let's put a formal definition on it. The key word here, the most important idea, is scaling human oversight. See, this isn't a one-size-fits-all deal. The amount of human involvement actually changes depending on how high the stakes are for that particular task. It's really just about making sure accountability lines up with risk. And these are the 5 pillars that make the whole thing work. First, AI is an assistant, period, not the boss. Second, oversight is tiered. We'll get into that. Third, you have to be able to trace where an answer came from. Fourth, and this is huge, we have to actively work to keep our own skills sharp. And finally, you set up the rules of the road before you let the AI start driving. Governance comes first.
So what does this look like in the real world? Well, it all boils down to a really simple but powerful idea, the 3 tiers of risk. This is where the theory gets really practical and easy to use.
This table gives you a great bird's-eye view of the whole system. Just look at the pattern here. As the risk level climbs from low to high, the human's role gets way more intense, right? And the AI's role shifts from being an autonomous operator to more of a supportive analyst. Okay, let's break down each tier.
First up, Tier 1. This is the AI dominant zone. Think of this for all the low-risk, routine stuff. Auto-formatting a document, running a spell check, cleaning up data. Here, the AI can pretty much run on its own because if it makes a mistake, the consequences are super low. No big deal.
Now we get to Tier 2, the hybrid model. This is for medium-risk tasks. This is where the AI acts like a drafter. It'll generate a first pass of a report or summarize a long document for you. Then, the human expert steps in to review, refine, and ultimately approve it. It's a true partnership. And finally, Tier 3. This is for the high-stakes work. Here, the roles are completely flipped. The human is firmly 100% in charge, making that final critical decision. The AI's job is purely to support. It can provide some analysis or show a few options, but it never makes the call. We're talking about things like medical diagnoses or complex engineering designs. You get the idea.
But a great framework like this is only half the battle. If the people using it aren't prepared or don't have the right mindset, the whole thing can just fall apart. So let's talk about the human side of the equation, the culture, the skills, and the governance.
This slide just lays it out so clearly. On the left, you've got this passive, rubber stamp culture that just blindly accepts whatever the AI says. That is a one-way ticket to skill erosion. But on the right, that's what we're aiming for, an active challenge culture, where people are actually encouraged to question the AI and are even celebrated for catching its mistakes. That's how you keep human judgment sharp.
And this quote, wow, it just hits the nail on the head. If you treat AI like some kind of all-knowing oracle that can't be wrong, you're not automating intelligence. You are literally just automating ignorance because you stopped asking why. So how do you actually build that challenge culture? Well, it comes down to some really concrete actions. You have to rotate tasks so people still know how to do them the old-fashioned way. You have to train your team not just to use AI, but to critically evaluate what comes out of it. Demand those audit logs so you can see the why behind a recommendation. And always have a plan for what to do if the AI goes down.
Okay, we've got the framework, we've got the right mindset. The last big question is, how do you actually put this into practice? So let's walk through the roadmap. The path forward is a pretty clear 5-step process. First, you assess all your tasks and sort them into those risk tiers. Then, you design your workflows to match. And you don't go all in at once, that would be crazy. You start with a controlled pilot project. If that goes well, then you can start to scale it up, but with constant auditing. And finally, and this is key, you're always reviewing and adapting, because the AI itself is changing all the time. So I'll leave you with a question to take away with you. As you start using these tools more and more in your own work, really think about this. At what exact point does the AI suggestion stop and your own critical human judgment take over? Because defining that line for yourself and your team is the absolute key to using AI powerfully, safely, and responsibly.